folks, the Filipina P here. And today I'm going to be dropping literal truth bombs by discussing a concept that is so alien to you Westerners that when you encounter it, it seems unjust, immoral, cowardly, and absolutely maddening. It can become a huge barrier to trust and intimacy, and even destroy your relationship with your Filipina. But I bet 90% of you have no clue what I'm about to tell you, and you need to understand it. The Asian tradition of saving face. I've often heard angry foreigners complain that their Filipino partner is constantly lying to them. And I get a whole lot of emails from men that feel betrayed when they uncover any form of deception in their relationship. But the sad truth is that it's not uncommon here, even with Filipino couples. Now let me say that I'm not here to justify this tradition. I'm just here to explain it to you, so you can recognize it and diffuse it before it blows up your relationship. Saving face is not the same thing as lying, but that's what it often leads to. Saving face is a concept that allows people to maintain their reputation and dignity, especially in public. And anytime you embarrass or criticize someone, it's considered a very bad thing for you to do, even worse than whatever offense the person committed in the first place. If you challenge them on it, they lose face, which is shameful. You might be familiar with examples of the Chinese always trying to save face, where the concept is also heavily practiced. Even if caught doing something wrong, the Chinese are simply incapable of admitting it, because doing so would mean losing face, which is unacceptable. In Thailand, an American man was arrested and charged with defamation after leaving inflammatory reviews of a resort he stayed at, because he harmed the reputation of the hotel. He narrowly avoided jail time by publicly apologizing to the hotel and Thailand's Board of Tourism. In my opinion, that's another case of saving face. In the West, you have a watered-down version of this concept, like when someone gets fired for incompetence, but the company's spokesperson says that the employee left to pursue other interests. That sounds like a nice polite way to do things, but the steroid-fueled version of saving face that we use in the East can cause problems, and I'm gonna show you why. Westerners are taught to take responsibility for their words and deeds. That seems almost axiomatic, right? That's one of the requisite traits of an honorable individual. If you do something wrong, you're expected to own up to it and correct your behavior so that progress is made. But have you ever noticed how Filipinos often can't admit when they're wrong? And we don't say we're sorry about the serious things? Or we can say, sorry, when we accidentally step on your toes. But if you catch us lying, we often go into defense mode, even if it means telling even more lies to cover up the misdeed. So what's up with that? Well, in my country, we have a word that means shame or embarrassment, hiya. And just like in many Asian countries, it's to be avoided at all cost. This shame can be caused by many things, from not conforming to social expectations to being accused of wrongdoing. If you ridicule someone's manners, speak badly about their lack of education, make fun of their looks, or claim that they've told a lie, you've caused them to have hiya, and you're the one that's done a dishonorable thing, even if what you said is the truth. That's probably one reason why we have cyberbullying laws, where you can't attack someone publicly, even if what you say is objectively true. Here, if you identify a specific person and talk badly about them, it can land you in jail, especially if you're a foreigner bringing shame to a Filipino. Don't expect a Filipino judge to be very sympathetic when you try to explain that what you posted online was verifiable. It doesn't matter. You're bringing shame or hiya to someone. I find it amazing that so many foreigners talk about honoring Filipino culture when they arrive here, and how it's our country and you're our guests, but then go around attacking each other and Filipino citizens online in front of thousands of people, purposely trying to bring shame to them and totally disregarding one of our most sensitive cultural traditions, and also breaking the law. But then when you mention it to them, they respond with, "I can say whatever I want and attack anyone I want for anything I want, and there's nothing you can do about it." What happened to honoring the culture of your host country? Your hypocrisy is disturbing. Now again, I personally think that you should always speak the truth, but you shouldn't attack individual people if you have something negative to say. And I'm sure you've all noticed that's something I don't do, especially since it's illegal here. But when we're talking about social issues like pollution, teen pregnancy, problems with poverty, traffic, and bureaucracy, I believe that if you don't acknowledge and discuss the shortcomings, how can you ever change anything? Sticking your head in the sand and pretending there's no problem is just illogical, and it prevents progress. For example, I recently did a video that mentioned the trash problem in the Philippines. As anyone who's visited or lived here, it's an obvious in-your-face issue. When it comes to plastic trash in the ocean, the Philippines is the third most guilty country in the world. It's an indisputable fact. And yet, as soon as the video was posted, angry Filipinos left comments about how I shouldn't bring dishonor to the country by mentioning it. Some of them even took the laughable position that there was no trash problem here, and that everything was clean and tidy. That's just their attempt at saving face, and it's a ridiculous position to take, for the reasons I just mentioned, because it solves nothing. In my opinion, I'm the patriotic Filipino, not the people who were only concerned with saving face. And here's an extreme example of saving face. Recently, a man was caught on camera committing a murder. They had more than enough evidence to prove to any sane person that he committed the crime, but the guy just couldn't bring himself to plead guilty. He knows he's gonna be convicted, but his reputation was more important than trying to cut a plea deal. Now let's look at a trivial example of the same concept. Let's say the doctor told your Filipina that she needed to lose weight to avoid diabetes. You woke up one morning, went to the fridge, and the entire blueberry cheesecake that was chilling in there the night before was completely gone. Since there's no one else in the house, you expect your partner to confess to eating it. But she claims she only had one piece, and no matter what logical arguments you use, she clings to her obvious deception. Why? She's saving face so she doesn't have to admit her lack of self-control. If you call her out on it and say, "I know for a fact you ate the whole damn cake," then you become the dishonorable one for causing conflict, not the person that told the lie. It's all about allowing her to maintain her dignity. Now that can be a harmless concept when it comes to little things like protecting the feelings of a cake-eating glutton. But the problem occurs when the transgressions get more serious. If your Filipino partner has too much to drink, or even if someone puts something in her drink, and she had a little accident with a male coworker, she may well cover it up with lies if necessary, and feel completely justified in doing so, because the truth will make her lose face, and we're taught to avoid that no matter what. It's the same reason why a Filipina might lie about having a child that has been sent off to live with relatives. She'll lose face and honor if she admits she has a child out of wedlock, so she feels justified in telling you she has no kids. And I can hear you guys now almost yelling at the screen, "Yeah, right, that's just a bald-faced lie to keep the foreigner from finding out the truth, so he won't leave her. She's not worried about honor and dignity." And I agree. That's exactly what I mean when I say the concept of saving face often gives people an excuse to lie and tell themselves it was justified. A lot of that goes on here, and it's not okay. So how do we Filipinos handle it when we're obviously lied to by someone else? Well, since the goal is to avoid confrontation, keep harmony, and save face, we're not supposed to challenge someone on their lies. Yes, you heard that right. The aggrieved party, the person that has been lied to, is expected not to call the liar out on their dishonesty. Both parties know what's going on. It's just a little game we play to keep up appearances. If you press someone on the issue and demand an explanation, you're liable to get all kinds of frustratingly non-sequitur answers. You guys know what I mean. Question your Filipina about who she was talking to on the phone, and her answer might be, "I only talked for a minute," which doesn't answer the very specific question you asked. That's her way of saying, if I tell you the truth, I'll feel ashamed, so I just avoid the question and you need to drop the subject. But if the lie is big enough or causes serious damage, then it's considered okay to confront the person. But good luck getting anyone to admit to any wrongdoing around here. Saving face trumps honesty, logic, and unfortunately, relationships. Now, there are some things that I prefer in Filipino culture, and there are some things that are better in Western culture. In this case, I think the Westerners got it right. Because what happens to a society when there are no repercussions for lying, and it's expected that more lies will be told to cover the original deception? It ensures a culture with a lot of lying. In what reality is that a good thing? It creates a huge problem for the intimacy and trust between couples. Because who decides what lies are acceptable? When you find out you've been deceived about something small, your first thought might be, so what else are you lying about? And you have every reason to ask that rather obvious question. So is suspicion a good thing to have in a relationship? I prefer the Western attitude of a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to deception. Not that you guys don't lie, but at least you admit it's wrong. And there's a social stigma attached to it in the West. If you get a reputation for lying, that follows you. You bring shame on yourself, where it should be, not on the person who noticed your misbehavior. Here in the East, deception is often not only tolerated, but considered no big deal. You're just supposed to pretend not to notice. But who wants to be in a relationship where people are almost guaranteed to deceive each other? I sure don't. How could you ever build a permanent level of trust with another person? I know how frustrating this situation can be to you Westerners. Denying an obvious lie seems cowardly, weak, and immoral. A lie is a lie, you say. But even you Westerners would probably agree that some white lies that are meant to protect a person's feelings are acceptable. Saving face is that same concept taken to an unhealthy extreme, to avoid conflict and ensure harmony, and to protect yourself from taking responsibility for your actions. So to avoid relationship complications, my advice is to sit down with your partner and explain to her that you know all about this saving face stuff. And it's just not compatible with a healthy, mature, trusting relationship. Tell her you have a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to telling anything less than the whole truth. Explain to her that you expect total honesty and that you're willing to give the same in return. And a final word to my Filipino sisters who are in relationships with foreigners. They don't expect us to be perfect, but they do expect us to be honest. Don't play games with the truth in any attempt to save face. Just admit your faults, and I bet you'll find that by doing so, you'll be even more perfect in the eyes of your mate. Food for thought, ladies. In conclusion, although the tradition of saving face evolved to promote harmony and spare people from humiliation and hiya, it can also have the effect of retarding social progress. It keeps people from being held accountable for their actions and can cause suspicion and mistrust within relationships. Hopefully, by understanding why it exists, you can prevent the damage it can cause by keeping you from forming a deep and intimate bond between you and your Filipina. Well, that's it for today, and as always, I have something interesting for you by the weekend. Till next time, folks. If you think about it, I'm kinda like Pocahontas, who bridged the gap between two very different cultures and tried to bring peace and understanding to both sides, while at the same time, dating a foreigner. All that I ask for my diplomatic efforts is that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell. And while you're here, check out some of my other videos too. And no, you can't poke my Hontas.